Hello and welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie, number 15, and today's topic is the gift and necessity of failure. My name is Evie Burke, and I am the mindset mentor and success coach at One Insight Closer. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs take their productivity to a new level. And failure is such an important topic when talking about productivity. So, as I mentioned in my Monday blog or newsletter, if you get my newsletter, this topic came about because there was a sentence in a post that a friend of mine posted that said, "People don't fail, systems fail." And I looked at it and I laughed and I disagreed. The rest, I agreed with the rest of the post. The point of the post was that systems support us in business, and sometimes what we lack in skills can be supported in the systems that we have and help us build those skills. And I completely agree with that. However, I am also a big believer in failure and owning your failure and not beating yourself up with it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am going to share this just in one spot, so I'm not spending a lot of time trying to figure out all of the places I want to share it. But I do want to share, I would love to know, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this later, hit the like button, hit the love button. I like seeing those little things floating across the screen as I go along. And also, just say hi in the comments so I know you're here, and let me know what was your motivation for coming today. What's your take on failure? Do you agree that it's a gift? Do you agree it's a necessity? Where do you fall on that spectrum? And what questions do you have around it? What would you like from today's post or live, rather? So let me share this. Let's see. So again, if you're just joining me, let me know what you'd like to get out of this event. So I want to share an example that I was thinking about the other day as I was in the car for a bit on my way to a conference earlier this week. And it was actually prompted by a post that my sister did where she shared about a stationary bike that she was really enjoying using. And it was one where you clipped in to the bike. And I remember she'd gotten a bike where you clipped into it a while ago, and I remember having a conversation with her about learning how to use the clip-in bike, because we learned how to ride bikes when we were kids, and I also know that clip-in bikes are a little bit different. And with clip-ins, I know I've heard anyway, one of the reasons to use where your shoes clip in to the pedals is you can pull your foot up and push the bike forward. You still get that forward momentum from pulling your foot up in addition to the downward motion. Because with a regular bike, you just get the forward momentum with the downward momentum. When you have pedals that your shoes clip into, you get the forward momentum on the downward and when you pull your foot up. The interesting thing, though, with those bikes is as you're learning to use them, you're going to fall over. That's what happens. As you're learning how to use that system of clipping your shoes, I'm moving my foot and you can't see that, but as you're learning to use that system of clipping your shoes in and out, you're going to not be super proficient with it. It's not going to be super smooth at the beginning, and you're going to fall over. That's just what happens. And even if you've been using that system for a while, if you've put your bike away for the winter months and you haven't been doing it for a little bit, when you pull your bike back out, you're probably still going to have, an instance or two when you pull your bike back out in the spring where you fall over because you haven't mastered how to quickly unclip your shoe from the pedal. Now, I use this as an example because in this case, the system didn't fail. The system of clipping your shoes into the bike worked. It works exactly the way it was supposed to. The problem or the failure is you haven't mastered or relearned how to use that system. And if you avoid the failure, you're never going to ride that bike. And if you don't own that this is something that happened and okay, this is what I need to do for later, then you're just going to keep falling over. So failure is important. It's a teaching mechanism. It's something that lets us know, okay, something didn't quite work right here and let me adjust it. Now, another thing to think about though, so in this, let me back up a step. In this instance, the system works and you're just learning how to use that system, and there's going to be some bumps and some bruises and some failures along the way, and that's completely normal. Another thing to think about though is what is your goal? So if your goal is to, increase your upper body strength and you're riding a bike, then you're using the wrong system for that goal, right? You might end up a little stronger and leaner a little bit as a result of using the bike, but if your goal is, upper body strength, you're probably going to want to be at a gym. You're probably going to want to look at, different things that you can do, in which case the system of riding a bike, whether it's the clip pedals or not, that's the wrong system for you. So failure could also be, if you're riding your bike and you're realizing, hey, my upper body's not getting strong, and you're noticing that failure, failure can also be an indication that you're using a wrong system or this particular method doesn't work for you. So failure is information. Failure is you learning that something's not working for you, that something needs to be adjusted. It's super important to know that, right? It's good to have that information. So what failure teaches us is what's working, what's not working. It teaches us that maybe we need a little more information about how to do something. It teaches us that maybe what worked for us perfectly 2 years ago and we try to do that same method or that same strategy or use that system now and it doesn't quite work for us, we learn that things need to change, right? Because maybe everything around us is always changing, we're always changing, and so sometimes the systems or the methods that we're using even now, well, not the systems or the methods that we're using that worked great for us 2 years ago or even a year ago, maybe they don't quite work the same for us now. So one of the things I want to stress is it's important to normalize failure. Everybody fails. Everybody, falls off that bike or doesn't, unclip from the bike fast enough and falls over, and sometimes we hope no one's around watching us to notice that, we fell over and, maybe it was a little embarrassing. But everybody's going to fail every once in a while. There's a quote somewhere, and I don't remember who said it, so if anybody can remember the exact quote or who said it, put it in the comments. But something to the effect of, if I'm not hearing no, then I'm not asking for, I'm not putting myself out there enough. If I'm not failing, then I'm not trying enough things. If I'm only doing things that I know are going to work, that are 100% guaranteed success, then I'm missing a lot of opportunities. Then there's a lot of, then I'm playing small. And I don't mean, to go and jump off a building and see if the wings that you just pasted together work. That's not what I mean. Test things out, see what works and what doesn't work. But don't be afraid to try things just because you're not sure they're going to work. Failure is part of being an entrepreneur, and it can sting, but it's still really important to put ourselves out there and to try new things and to notice, okay, that didn't work so well. I know that, so in my Facebook group, every once in a while I'll post something out of the ordinary, or not part of our regularly scheduled program, so to speak, in there. And I did something a couple of weeks ago that people seemed to like, but no one really engaged with. And I went, okay, that's not what they're here for. That's fine. Good for me to know. And I moved on, and I honestly didn't think too much about it. And then in another group that I'm in, somebody was posting and saying, I posted this thing to my Facebook group, and it was something completely different, but no one said anything on it, and, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get any engagement on it. And I realized for myself how easily I could have gone there with the, oh, no one liked it, boo-hoo. And instead, just looked at it and said, okay, well, that didn't work. That's fine. It's there if people want to do it later. And if not, that's okay too. Let's see what does work for people. What do people want to see or hear in that group? I'm looking down at my notes to see. I have some bullet points, but then earlier when I was thinking about what I wanted to cover here, I went off kind of in a different direction a little bit. So I'm trying to get that point made, which I think I already did, and make sure I cover the points in my notes here. So bear with me a little bit. And if you just joined us, I see there's a couple people here live. Hit the like button. Let me know you're here. Say hi. Let me know what you're looking to learn from this live today, and I'm happy to address any questions or thoughts that you have. So the only I talked a lot about how failure, helps you learn, it's information to know what we need to tweak, what's working and what's not working. And the only thing that's bad about failure sometimes is when we use it to beat ourselves up with it. When something doesn't work and we internalize it and say, oh, I did such a bad job, I'm such a horrible person, or however it shows up for you. And failure doesn't mean any of those things. Failure just means that it didn't quite go the way you expected. And not everything's going to go the way that you expect. Whether it's in business, your own business, or raising kids, or taking, a vacation. Things don't go 100% to plan. And something's not going to work or go the way that you wanted it to. And that's okay. Notice what does work. Notice that, if for me, my husband and I, this was a number of years ago now, we went to Disney for vacation together. And I kind of had the expectation, because it was just the two of us, that hi Monique, I love seeing you here. It's been so long. Anyway, when we were at vacation at Disney, I kind of had the expectation that because it was just the two of us going, that we would do everything together. And here's the difference between me and my husband. I am a homebody. I'm a bit of an introvert. I need time by myself. I need time to just be at home sometimes. And my husband, I don't know if maybe he's an ambivert. I'm not exactly sure, but he likes also being around people. He likes going places and just people watching and seeing, what people are doing and how they're reacting in different situations. He just enjoys people watching and noticing, different things and how different people interact. And we'd go out to dinner, and we'd come back to the room to kind of decompress for a little bit, and I was done for the day. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read, I'm going to watch TV, but I'm just gonna be in the room. And he'd be getting antsy, and he'd be saying, oh, but they're gonna be doing, the fireworks over here tonight, and we should go and do that. And I changed my expectations, and I didn't take it as a failure, like, oh, he doesn't want to just sit here and be with me. It was like, yeah, you go and do that. And then he would go and do his thing. I'd have some alone time, and he'd come back and tell me, about the stories and the people that he saw, and, the conversations that the families that were around him were having. And we both had a great time. But again, because I adjusted those expectations. Monique says she loves that if she's not hearing no, she's missing opportunities. And she wondered if I could discuss the line between being persistent versus oblivious to feedback. Yes. Persistent versus oblivious to feedback. You want to know or have an idea about what the other person is looking for. So the thing that immediately springs to mind is somebody friended me on Facebook, that we had a lot of people in common, but I don't think I had ever met her. And she friended me on Facebook probably last week. And this morning, before I headed out to my networking meeting, I noticed I had a message in Facebook Messenger. And so I opened it and I looked at it. And it was this person telling me about her fabulous product and, wanting me to reach out to her when I was ready to earn some extra money with her. And notice that the wording was when and not if. And I know that there's some psychology to selling around that wording, but it just annoyed me. I had never met this woman. I was not interested in her product, and I told her no thank you. And that was it. And she reached out again, and she sent me a picture of the difference that her product had made for her, and when I changed my mind, let her know. And I marked her as spam. If you have never had a conversation with me about anything, don't try to sell me something. And I know you, Monique, I know you would never, ever, ever do that. And especially with your business, it's not one that really even would ever occur to you or anyone, I think, in your business to do something like that with. But to her, yeah, reaching out to me, was that a failure? I think there was a bigger picture failure there about the appropriateness of reaching out to someone. I think more to what Monique is asking, though, is when does it change from being I'm following up with you to see if you're ready for working with me, to the difference between doing that natural follow-up versus reaching out and just being oblivious to the fact that the person's just not interested. Like, where is that line? And I think for coaches, for people in industries where just generally, sometimes businesses aren't ready for what you have to offer, but they are interested. I think it's just checking in and asking, where are you with this? And just trusting that the person is going to be honest enough with you to say, you know what, this isn't something that we're interested in anymore, or yes, this isn't what I'm ready for now, but later I would be. And sometimes you can even ask and say, hey, I'm reaching out again. I know we talked about this like 3 months ago, and I just wanted to reach out and see if, how you were doing with this, or if this was a better time to maybe discuss this. And if not, that's fine, let me know. And if this isn't something you're interested in anymore at all, let me know that too. I mean, the wording there needs to be worked on a little bit, the flow of that conversation. But you can always just ask the person, hey, I know we've been talking back and forth for a year. I just wanted to check in and see if this was still something that you were interested in exploring. And just being upfront with somebody and asking them. So you're giving them that opportunity to say, you know what, no, I'm not interested anymore. If you're on the receiving end of somebody who's just oblivious to the fact you're trying to nicely tell them that you're not interested, it might be that you just need to say, you know what, I'm not interested in that product, and I'm not going to be in the future. I know sometimes when I'm responding to people, when they do, you know, an innocent inquiry, an appropriate innocent inquiry, I will not say, this isn't right for me right now. If I know it's not going to be right for me ever, I'll just say this isn't right for me, period. If it's genuinely something that maybe I would be interested in 6 months or a year, then yeah, I might put in the right now and give them that door to come back and check in with me later. But I've tried to be very intentional about my words, where if I know I'm never going to be interested, I will try to nicely say I'm not interested and just, you know, leave it at that. The other thing around that might be to just, sometimes you just have to be upfront with people. For the person that reached out to me that I had never had a conversation with her before, and she's trying to sell me her product, I really thought about schooling her and saying, hey, this isn't appropriate, don't do that. However, I have no relationship with her, so I decided to save my words and just say, no, I'm not interested. I did, like I said, I did mark her as spam, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that conversation went out to. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. And I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions with it, let me know. Let's see. What to do about failure. So if you find yourself in a spot of failure, or let's even back up. If you have, because I know sometimes in different situations that we've had growing up, or in different experiences we've had, failure can have for some people like this huge negative connotation to it. I mean, if you think of even how the school system is set up, and you know, sometimes it's pass or fail, and sometimes the distinction there is very blurred. You know, it's like, okay, so what's really the difference between the pass and the fail in some of these things? And the school system even is set up with, you know, how smart are you? And I was listening to a podcast on my way home from the networking thing today, and what I really liked, the person that was talking about the education system a little bit, and he said a lot of times the question in education is, how smart are you? And he said that's the wrong question. He said the question should be, how are you smart? Because it's not that you only have one type of intelligence, right? So if you don't have, you know, a super high mark on this intelligence test, then you fail. Well, yeah, maybe you fail on that intelligence test, but maybe it's like trying to ride the bike when you need to be lifting weights, right? It's the wrong question for you. You know, okay, you're not smart in that way. You're smart in a different way. So all the failure there is telling you need to look somewhere else and see where you can excel. The story that he shared was his brother, who was younger than him, who I think was younger, it doesn't matter, but he was not the smartest kid in his class. He would fail a lot of those standardized tests that were going around, but he was very mechanically smart. You could give him a car or a motorbike and he could fix it and he could make it run better. And that was where he excelled. But if you gave him, algebra to do, he didn't get it. You know, he could get some of the basics, but that's not where his intelligence was, and that was fine. So failure is sometimes just telling us what works for us and what doesn't. I'm kind of getting all over the place here, so bear with me. So what to do about failure? when you fail, just notice it. It's information. If you had a bad connotation to the word failure, replace it with a different word. Work with a coach to maybe start peeling back the layers of that onion and what that means for you. But no, it's just information. It's just telling you that this way didn't work for you or this needs to be tweaked. I recently stopped my subscription to the CRM, excuse me, the CRM I was using, because for the amount of money I was paying for it, I wasn't getting use out of it. It was a great system, but it wasn't set up in a way that worked for me. Excuse me. I didn't have water, so that'll have to do. It wasn't set up in a way that worked for me. So as I figure out, what I want that system to be, I let go of the system that obviously wasn't working for me anymore. So notice where things aren't working for you anymore. Things that even worked really well for you, excuse me, a year ago or 2 years ago. Sometimes we grow or what we need changes, and so just notice where those failures are happening, and know that it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. You just might need something else right now, and that failure is just an indication that something's not working. So the title of today's Facebook Live with Evie is, or Live with Wednesday Live with Evie, is the I've blanked. Oh, there we go. The gift and necessity of failure. So the gift of failure is it's giving you information. It's letting you know what's working and what's not working and what needs to be tweaked or adjusted. It's letting you know that maybe something isn't working for you anymore or needs to be adjusted. The necessity of failure is if you're not failing in something, then you're probably staying in your comfort zone a little more than maybe is necessary. That you can, push on those boundaries a little bit and try things and see what works and see what doesn't, and allow yourself the space for those failures. Because the cool thing that happens when you allow yourself that space for those failures, there's the other side of the coin. You're also allowing yourself that space for success. And if you don't try new things, if you're not putting yourself out there, then you're not going to experience some of the big successes that also open yourself up for some failure. So the necessity of failure is, it means that you're putting yourself out there. It means that you're growing. And that's really, I think, for all of us that have our own businesses, I think business is the way that we've chosen to grow ourselves, to build who we are and learn about ourselves. And when we're not out there failing at something, it means we're not growing. And I think that's so important, especially when you have your own business, but even just in life, is to be trying new things and seeing what works for you and what doesn't, and adjusting as necessary. So that was today's Wednesday Live with Evie, the gift and necessity of failure. So next time something doesn't go as planned, feel the feelings around it. I'm not saying that you just stuff the feelings and say, okay, what did I learn? Sometimes failure can be disappointing and frustrating, and it can feel like a loss. And allow yourself to feel those things. Don't just stuff them down. That's not healthy. Allow yourself to feel those things. Maybe set yourself a timer so you're not permanently in a pity party or anything. But also know that that means you're growing, and definitely take what you learned from it. So until next week, I don't know what next week's topic is. If I did, I'd share it with you. So if there's anything in particular that you'd like to hear about or covered, let me know. And I invite you to head over to the Facebook group, Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs, and join me there. It's a fabulous group of women who hold each other accountable and support each other, and I'm really loving that group, and I know the ladies in it are really enjoying it too. So if you're not already in that group, I invite you to head over there and join us. And whatever closing thoughts you have on success or failure, share them in the comments. If you want to be really vulnerable and share something that's going on with you, then feel free to leave me a private message on Facebook or in my email or however you want to get a hold of me. So again, until next week, much love. Bye.